The crash had been loud. Too loud. Jack Renner lay on his back, staring at the cracked glass of his helmet. His escape pod was nothing but twisted metal now, smoke curling into the green alien sky. The air smelled strange, sweet and sharp at the same time. His spacesuit beeped in warning. Oxygen low. Jack pushed himself up. His legs hurt, but they worked. Around him, tall plants with glowing tips swayed slowly, even though there was no wind. Somewhere far away, something let out a deep, rumbling call. Then, the ground shook. At first, he thought it was his own dizziness. But no, the vibration was growing stronger. Pebbles danced at his feet. A shadow fell across the broken clearing. Jack turned. What he saw froze him in place. A figure, huge, impossible, stepped out from behind the glowing trees. A woman. No, a giantess. She was at least 50 feet tall. Her skin pale with a faint shimmer, her eyes silver like liquid metal. Her dark hair fell in heavy braids, and over her shoulders she wore armor made from the bones of something far bigger than a human. Jack's breath caught in his throat. In his training, there had been warnings about this planet. Beware of planetary carnivores. Some take human form. Do not approach. The giantess moved closer, her steps slow but shaking the earth. She tilted her head as she looked at him. Jack tried to step back. His foot caught on a piece of wreckage and he stumbled. She stopped right over him, blocking the strange green sunlight. Her shadow felt cold. Her lips curved upward into a slow smile. Jack saw her teeth, white, sharp, and far too many. His heart pounded. She's going to eat me. The giantess bent down. Her face so close he could see strange markings running along her jaw. She reached out a hand the size of a car and wrapped her fingers gently, but firmly around his body. Jack felt himself lifted into the air, higher and higher, until he was level with her eyes. They were not human eyes. They were deep, endless pools of silver light. The giantess turned him slightly, studying him, as if deciding where to take the first bite. Jack struggled, but her grip was like iron. His helmet pressed against her palm. Then she opened her mouth. Jack's mind screamed. This is it. This is the end. Her teeth flashed in the light, and then, she didn't bite. Instead, she leaned closer and sniffed him. A long, slow breath. Jack froze. Confusion joined the fear in his chest. Why wasn't she eating him? But before he could think further, the giantess made a deep sound in her throat, something between a growl and a word, and began walking, carrying him away from the wreck, deeper into the glowing forest. Jack's head spun with one thought. She's not killing me, but that might be worse. Jack's heart wouldn't slow down. Every step the giantess took made the ground quake. She moved through the glowing forest like a shadow sliding between the trees. The strange plants leaned away from her, as if afraid. Jack tried to twist in her hand, but it was no use. Her grip was firm, unshaking. His helmet display flashed oxygen critical. He didn't have long. The giantess stopped suddenly. She crouched, lowering him until her silver eyes were only a breath away. Then her other hand rose, huge fingers curling toward his helmet. Jack's panic spiked. She's gonna crush my head. But instead, her fingertips tapped lightly along the helmet's edge, searching. A faint click, and the helmet seals broke with a hiss. Warm, heavy air rushed in. Jack gasped. It smelled like wet stone and sweet fruit. His lungs burned, but the air was breathable. He coughed, staring at her. She tilted her head again, studying his face now that the glass was gone. Then she made a strange sound. Not words, but something like a deep, musical hum. Jack tried to speak. Please, let me go. I don't want. Before he could finish, she shifted him in her grip and reached into a pouch tied to her side. She pulled out long, flexible vines. With quick, practiced movements, she looped them around his arms and legs. Jack struggled. No, wait. It didn't matter. The knots tightened with surprising gentleness, but enough that he couldn't move. She slung the vine bundle with Jack inside, over her shoulder like a bag. He dangled there, bouncing slightly with each massive step she took. His mind spun with questions. Why didn't she eat me? Why tie me up? Where is she taking me? The forest around them grew stranger. The glowing plants were taller now, some swaying like they were alive. From far away came deep roars. Not like the giantess's voice, but harsher, hungrier. Jack heard heavy footfalls in the distance. Not hers, these were faster, and there were many. The giantess froze. Her head turned sharply toward the sound. Her silver eyes narrowed. Then, without a word, she changed direction, moving deeper into the forest at a faster pace. Jack realized something. She wasn't taking him toward the other giants. She was moving away from them. And if she was avoiding them, maybe they were the real danger. The forest swallowed them whole. Massive trees rose like towers, their trunks wide as houses. Strange glowing vines hung down, swaying even though there was no wind. The ground was soft under the giantess's steps, covered with thick moss that shimmered faintly. Jack dangled from her shoulder, trying to look in every direction. The air felt heavy here, almost like it was pressing on his skin. Then he heard it, a sound that made the hair on his neck stand up. It was a voice. No, many voices, but they were wrong. They echoed from all directions, twisting and bending like whispers in water. The giantess stopped and listened. Her body went still, except for the slow rise and fall of her breathing. From far away came the sound of something moving through the forest. Heavy steps, faster than hers. A sharp cracking of branches. And between those noises, the strange voices again, repeating words Jack couldn't understand. Jack craned his neck to see, but the glowing plants blocked his view. "What is that?" he whispered to himself. The giantess made a quick, low sound, almost like shoo, without looking at him. Then she crouched and slipped behind a thick wall of tree roots. Her movements were careful now, almost silent. Jack realized she was hiding. Through a gap in the roots, he saw shapes moving in the distance. His breath caught. They were huge, like her, but their bodies moved differently, too stiff, too quick. Their armor wasn't made of bone like hers. It shone cold and metallic. One of them turned its head. Even from far away, Jack could see its eyes, bright red, glowing in the green darkness. The giantess shifted, blocking Jack's view, as if to shield him. She didn't move until the red-eyed shapes had passed out of sight. Only then did she rise again and walk deeper into the forest. Jack's thoughts spun. She was hiding him from them. But why? If she was like them, she'd hand him over. If she was different, then maybe she wasn't the one he needed to fear. The voices returned, softer this time, fading behind them. The forest grew darker, lit only by the faint glow of the plants. Somewhere far ahead, a soft blue light pulsed like a heartbeat. The giantess headed straight toward it. Jack didn't know what waited in that light. But one thing was certain, whatever she was doing, it wasn't random. She had a reason for keeping him alive, and he wasn't sure if that was a good thing or a much worse one. The blue light grew brighter as they moved. It wasn't a torch. It wasn't fire. It seemed to come from the ground itself, rising in slow waves. Jack squinted, trying to understand what it was. The giantess stepped into a clearing. The light here was strong enough to make her silver eyes glow even more. She knelt down and set Jack gently on the moss. For the first time since the crash, her hands let go of him. Jack's first thought was to run. But his legs were still tied, and even if they weren't, where could he go? The forest was full of giants and strange voices. He would last 5 minutes at best. The giantess reached for a wide leaf the size of a blanket. She folded it into a rough bowl and dipped it into a pool of glowing water. Then she placed it near Jack. He hesitated. The water shimmered like liquid sky. She tapped the leaf, then pointed at him. A clear sign, drink. Jack leaned forward. The water was cool and sweet, and it chased away the dryness in his throat. When he finished, he looked at her. "Why are you doing this?" His voice was hoarse, but he needed to ask. She tilted her head, frowning slightly. It was clear she didn't understand all his words, but she seemed to catch the why. She touched her chest with her hand. "Shala." Jack blinked. Shala, that's your name? She nodded once, firmly. Then she tapped his chest. Jack, he said. Her lips moved, trying to copy it. Jack. For a moment, there was almost warmth in her expression, but it vanished as quickly as it came. She glanced over her shoulder, scanning the trees, alert again. Then she crouched and picked up a long stick. With the tip, she began to draw in the moss. Shapes appeared, huge figures with red eyes, chasing something small. Then she drew another figure, herself, running in the opposite direction, holding the small shape. Jack stared at the picture. The small shape was obviously him. It hit him all at once. She had stolen him from the others. Not to keep him as food, but to keep him safe. Still, the question burned in his mind. Safe from what? The answer came faster than he expected. A deep, metallic roar shook the clearing. Shala dropped the stick and rose to her full height, her body tense. The sound came again, closer now. Jack looked into the shadows beyond the blue light and saw movement. Something was coming, and it wasn't human. The blue light trembled on the surface of the water as the roar echoed again. Jack's pulse quickened. This sound wasn't like the giant's footsteps. It was sharper, mechanical, like metal grinding against metal. Shala's silver eyes narrowed. She reached behind her back and pulled out a spear so large Jack could have used it as a bridge. The tip gleamed, polished to a deadly shine. The noise grew louder. Branches cracked. The ground shuddered. Jack turned toward the shadows and froze. From between the glowing trees came a creature. No, a machine. It walked on 6 long legs that ended in claws, each one sinking into the moss with a hiss. Its body was smooth and black, with strange markings glowing red along its sides. Where a head should be, there was only a flat, triangular plate, and from it shone 2 blazing red lights. Eyes that weren't alive but still seemed to see everything. It scanned the clearing, and its gaze locked on Jack instantly. A second roar, higher pitched, came from behind it. Another machine stepped out of the shadows. Then a third. Shala moved fast. She swung her arm down, scooping Jack into one hand and stepping back toward the trees. The machines followed, moving in perfect rhythm, like they shared one mind. Jack's thoughts raced. These weren't animals. They weren't even alive. They were hunters. One machine broke from the group, skittering sideways to cut them off. Its claws dug deep into the earth as it lunged forward. Shala didn't run. She charged. The spear struck the machine's side with a sound like tearing metal. Sparks burst into the air. The machine shrieked, the sound so sharp Jack had to cover his ears. Another leapt toward them. Shala twisted, slamming her elbow into its headplate, denting the metal. But while she fought, the third machine skittered around her and came straight for Jack. Its red eyes grew brighter. Its claws opened like jaws. Jack's breath caught. He was trapped, helpless in Shala's grip. Then he remembered the emergency flare on his suit. His hand fumbled for the small button on his wrist. He pressed it hard. A blinding flash of light burst from his suit, filling the clearing. The machines recoiled instantly, their red eyes flickering. Shala seized the chance. She drove her spear through the nearest one, ripping it apart. The others shrieked and pulled back into the shadows. For a moment, the forest was silent again, except for Shala's heavy breathing. She looked down at Jack. "You a fight," she said slowly, her voice low but clear. Jack didn't answer. He couldn't. All he could think was, if these machines were still out there, they weren't done yet. The quiet didn't last. From deep in the forest came a new sound. Not one roar, but many. A chorus of metallic screams, layered on top of each other. The machines were calling to each other. Shala tightened her grip on the spear. She glanced at Jack, then toward the trees. More red eyes appeared in the darkness. First 5, then 10, then too many to count. Jack's stomach twisted. "We can't fight all of them," he muttered. But Shala didn't back away. She set him down behind the thick roots of a massive tree and pointed at him. "Stay." Before Jack could reply, she moved forward, spear ready. The first machine lunged, its claws reaching for her. She ducked under it, stabbing upward into its chest. Sparks flew, lighting her face in flashes. Another attacked from the side. She swung the spear like a giant club, knocking it into a glowing tree that cracked under the impact. But for every machine she struck down, 2 more took its place. Jack pressed his back against the roots, his hands shaking. He couldn't just sit there. Not again. He searched his suit for anything useful and found the small pack of signal beacons. If he could activate them, maybe the light would confuse the machines like the flare had. He crawled out from cover and placed one beacon in the moss. It lit up instantly, a spinning beam cutting through the darkness. Several machines turned toward it, distracted. "Come on, come on," Jack muttered, setting another farther away. But one of the machines spotted him. It broke from the fight with Shala and charged straight toward him, legs stabbing the earth. Jack ran. His breath came in short gasps, his legs burning. He could hear the machine behind him, every step shaking the ground. Then a shadow passed over him. Shala slammed into the machine from the side, her spear driving clean through its body. The force of the hit knocked the thing off its feet and into the undergrowth. She pulled the spear free and glared at Jack. "Stay," she repeated, sharper this time. Jack swallowed and nodded. But inside he knew, staying still wouldn't keep them alive for long. The forest seemed to close in around them, the glow dimming as more red eyes lit up in the dark. They couldn't fight forever. They had to get out. And Jack could see in Shala's tense stance that she knew it too. The forest was alive with red light. Dozens of machines moved in from every direction, their metal legs slicing through moss and roots. The air was thick with the sound of claws scraping and gears grinding. Shala glanced around, her silver eyes darting from shadow to shadow. She was breathing hard now, even she couldn't fight them all. Then she looked at Jack. Without a word, she scooped him up and ran. Her long strides carried them through the glowing jungle at incredible speed. Branches cracked, vines snapped, and the ground shook with every step. The machines gave chase, their screams echoing in the trees. Jack clung to her arm, the world blurring past. He caught glimpses of strange shapes between the trees, broken towers, massive stone arches, the ruins of something ancient. But they didn't stop. Up ahead, the forest opened to a cliff. Far below, in a hidden valley, a small light blinked, white and steady. Jack's heart leapt. It was human tech, a rescue beacon. Shala didn't slow. She leapt onto a sloping rock path that wound down the cliffside, moving with a balance that seemed impossible for her size. The machines reached the cliff's edge above them, but they didn't climb down. Instead, they began to fire. Thin red beams cut through the air, scorching the rock around them. One beam grazed Shala's arm, leaving a smoking line in her skin. She didn't cry out, but Jack could feel her grip tighten. At the bottom of the cliff, nestled in a circle of ancient stones, stood a small rescue shuttle. Its ramp down, its lights on. Shala reached the clearing and set Jack on the ramp. Her hand lingered for a moment, her silver eyes locking with his. "Machines return more," she said slowly, her voice low and urgent. Jack opened his mouth to speak, but she stepped back. The shuttle's engines started to hum. The ramp began to rise. "Shala," Jack called, reaching toward her. She only gave him a faint smile. The same strange, unreadable smile she'd given him the first time she saw him. Then she turned, spear in hand, and disappeared into the glowing forest. The ramp closed. The shuttle lifted into the sky. Through the small window, Jack saw the red lights of the machines flickering in the distance, and somewhere between them, the tall, silver-eyed figure still standing her ground. He had thought she would eat him, but instead, she had saved his life. And now, he wondered if he'd ever see her again.